This is a familiar scene in America these days. Arson is our fastest growing crime, affecting the lives and property of millions of people. No city is immune. This is the Bronx in New York. 1.5 million people live in this borough, equal to the population of Houston or Washington or San Diego. It's the home of the New York Yankees, the Bronx Zoo, and the Grand Concourse. It has also become the arson capital of the world. Once that smoke on the horizon signified industry, progress, jobs. Now it means someone is burning down a building, a landlord for profit, a tenant for revenge, junkies, vandals. It happens 30 times a day, and the flames are the signal of a national disaster. In the next hour, we'll see what fire is doing to the Bronx and its people. It's a report from one place in one city, but the forces at work here are no longer unique to the Bronx. The fire here is the fire next door.
The fire next door.
Battalion 19 of Bronx K. Box 2963, we're going to use 2 and 2. We have fire on the 5th floor in apartment 5I. The address is 1635 Poppin Avenue. It's a 6-story brick, non-fireproof, multiple dwelling occupied.
The South Bronx. It has all the superlatives. Highest crime, poorest people, greatest unemployment, worst blight, and the world's record for arson. In just 10 years, more than 30,000 buildings have been set ablaze and abandoned here. Many of them good, solid apartment houses built to last hundreds of years. These were the homes of New York's working people, the Germans, Irish, Jews, and Italians who paused here on their way to the suburbs and to the American promise fulfilled. Then came the poverty migration. Huge numbers of blacks and Puerto Ricans arrived as business, industry, and the middle class left. Jobs were fewer and fewer. Welfare replaced work, and the poor were trapped with nowhere to go. Higher costs, lower profits, and the peculiar chemistry of poverty caused landlords to flee their buildings. The result? A fierce, malignant urban cancer where the arsonist performs the final rite.
If you were assigned to Vietnam in 1970, what would be the challenge that you face? It would be to communicate to the American people the fact that our nation is involved in a great moral struggle, in a great moral dilemma. And what you were really saying is, America, take a look at it. For heaven's sakes, look what you are doing to yourself. Look at the moral dimensions of the struggle. And if that is the way you choose to go, at least acknowledge it.
Chief Tony Boza, Bronx Borough Commander until his maverick views cost him his job. In Harlem during the 60s, his leadership helped prevent urban rioting. Sensitive to the people of the neighborhood, he is still a tough cop.
Strangely enough, in the 60s, this society became a little bit visible, started to riot a little bit, disorders, started to hook middle-class youngsters on heroin, and boy, there was a hell to pay then, and methadone became suddenly available, funds, the Law Enforcement Assistance Administration was created, we were showered with goodies, and now we are a very efficient army of occupation, and the problem is invisible, and everybody's back to business as usual, and it's wonderful for everybody. We are creating here what the Romans did in Rome. We are creating a permanent underclass of unemployed and desperate people. They're kind of invisible. You don't see them because they drop out of they stop looking for jobs. They drop out of everything but the welfare rolls. They drink and they try to escape the reality of their daily experience. And of course, and here we live with them. But they're all dressed up and no place to go, and the society has no place for them. But now everything is being done by machines, and the second industrial revolution has sort of replaced unskilled human labor. And that's the only leg they can get up on the ladder. So they're really in trouble. And if these people weren't permanently pacified on alcohol, they'd be a lot more visible. If it weren't for the ready availability of alcohol, we'd all be in trouble. So what I would say is, America, take a look around. Look what you're doing in your ghettos. You're creating a permanent underclass of disaffected and poor, drugged on alcohol, on welfare, living in bombed-out situations, an educational system that doesn't educate, A bureaucracy that doesn't respond, the sanitation doesn't clean, the police don't police. We're all here, we're all very visible, and I suppose some of us are working reasonably hard, but the fact of the matter is we're all failing, and it's just a holding operation. Look around you.
Look around, and on any day you will see a major fire set by an arsonist. There is one every hour. Bronx firemen are the busiest and best in the world. But it's a losing battle. Burning buildings are as common here as broken dreams. A woman and her 6 children lived here. $300 a month for 6 rooms with rats, roaches, leaky plumbing, and junkies urinating in the hall. She wanted to move to a public housing project, but a sign in her welfare office declared she would have a very long wait unless she were the victim of a fire. Burnouts get first preference. At 2 a.m., she moved her possessions to a friend's place, leaving some junk furniture behind in the apartment. Her nephew set the fire. She and her children received a little over $2,000 for new clothing and furniture and were moved to a new apartment at public expense. Arson is now a way of doing business in the South Bronx, encouraged and made profitable by well-intentioned public law. It's both bewildering and frustrating to the city's arson detectives.
You got a place to go, do you mean? Yeah, like, if you're on welfare down here, they find you somewhere else to go. You just move. You gotta burn before you move, though. Yeah, that way you get money for your furniture until you burnt out. Oh, yeah? Yeah, that's why it works down here. You think many people do that? Few, few.
You can buy a large occupied apartment house in the Bronx for less than $1,000. By taking advantage of the city's 3-year tax moratorium, you can collect several thousand a month while paying no taxes, provide heat and services infrequently and only under duress, no maintenance. A few promises will keep the rents coming in until the tenants give up in disgust. Then $200 will buy you a first-class arson job. Federally subsidized fire insurance is required by law. A quick settlement with few questions put you ahead by $70,000 or $80,000.
She set the apartment afire because I'm a witness. I was home that day. Happened on a Tuesday.
Well, you didn't see her set the fire, actually.
She had to. How can you leave out your house in 2 minutes and come on the steps and go back in your house in 15 minutes and holler fire?
Did you speak to her about that fire? Did you speak to her about that?
She said? She told her husband, her boyfriend, who is when she come home, that the lady upstairs was looking out a window and a cigarette fell from her house into her apartment and started the fire.
Would you want to talk to us about this and testify about this, what you saw?
What I saw?
Yeah.
No.
You don't want to?
No, but I'm just saying what
Why not?
he was talking about, because I don't know, I don't like to, put no people in trouble. And this lady was definitely
put people in trouble. She banned you out of your apartment.
That's right, that's what I'm saying. You should see my apartment. I'm not, there you go, right here.
Well, what if your kid was killed?
That's right, I would have, honey, I would have really gone on her case.
But just as long as your kid wasn't killed, you feel, what the heck, why get involved?
How much damage was done?
She claimed all her furniture was burned up.
But you had no furniture in the apartment.
She the little bit she had in there, I mean, it was already raggedy or destroyed or whatever.
Again, I ask you, you don't want to make a complaint at this time about this.
See, I should have did it at the start.
Well, you can still do it.
Listen to me.
If someone knows information as to who caused the fire, it's rare that they'll come forward with the information. Their reasoning is that they're afraid, because if they're in the area, if they're going to remain in the area, it doesn't make sense to tell the police what you know, because if that person, even if he is arrested, chances are he'll be back.
Richie.
Yeah. Come on. Right here. Looks like it's an abandoned apartment. After 4 to 1 line of cars.
A little while ago about an hour and a half when I went in there, all that was there was garbage. Whoever lived there set fire to it, or somebody went in there and set fire to it before they left, because the girl that was living there moved out. That apartment, no, that apartment was like that. I was laying down with my daughter when they came and told me the fire there. They shouldn't do shit like that. I burned up because she wants to set fire to that dumpy apartment. She's gonna pay me. If they don't do anything about it, I'm going to the precinct and I'm going to the police department, and I want them to know. Whoever lived there, I want them to know that I'm going. I want them to know that I'm going. If they don't care about the children, I care about mine. You understand? I care about mine.
What did you think the night you woke up and heard the sounds of fire next door?
I was terrified. I ran out of here. I didn't have on no clothes. I had on my nightgown, a robe. I went to the second floor. I was so mad. If I would put my hands, on someone, I could have hurt them, because I figured I only been living here a year and a half. And it took me a lot to do all that I have. And then all of a sudden, a fire breaks out. I lose everything I have to start all over again.
And you were mad because you thought somebody had started it?
Yeah. That's right.
When I say the word fire, what do you think of?
Disaster. It's the truth. Because when there's a fire, you lose everything.
Davidson Avenue in the West Bronx. For years, it was a desirable community of middle-class families. While the South Bronx was dying, this was a good place to live. But decay spread quickly through here. Fire engines have come again and again. Well-constructed buildings are now abandoned and bricked up in a feeble effort to discourage vandalism. For all their drama, fires are not the story. Arson is a symptom of a far deeper condition that persists here after the firemen have left. Society has collapsed. There remains an almost primitive system offering little protection, little safety.
When I moved over here as little as 2.5 years ago, it was quite a beautiful place and serene, so I thought, until nightfall.
You live alone?
Yes, with my dogs.
With your dogs?
3 now. I had 5. 3 were thrown off the roof.
Thrown off the roof?
6. Yeah.
By whom?
Some pathetic little boys.
Threw your dogs off the roof?
5 flights, yes. Killed them.
Why don't you move?
There's people that don't want to accept me with 3 dogs. So rather than give them up, they're my friends. I stayed in that abandoned building, terrified.
You stay in that abandoned building?
Alone.
Do you have heat?
No heat, no hot water, no electricity, no facilities.
Well, how do you live, Miss Scott?
Well, I have friends across the street, too, as a matter of fact. And I go over there and cook and bring the food home. Originally, I had a hot plate, and I could heat the food when it was cold, but now I don't have that, so mostly I eat out of restaurants. And I go over to my friend's house to take a bath. One has to be social.
That's right.
His grandmother said it's not important how you look, it's how you smell.
Aren't you frightened to death of living there by yourself?
Yes, I am.
So you've been on this street 2 years and you've seen fire literally destroy apartment after apartment?
Yes. Well, this is my castle, all by myself.
Do you pay any rent?
No, I don't. I'm a squatter.
A squatter?
Yes, sir.
Across the street in 1995 Davidson Avenue, several families are trying to hold their lives together in a building which, while occupied, barely clings to life. Fires, vandalism, and the lack of services have forced most people to leave. A few struggle to stay in apartments whose parquet floors and keen workmanship recall better days. Can you show me the apartment?
Yes.
Well, how many rooms are there?
Well, I have 3 rooms. This, I guess you can say, is the living room. In the bathroom, as you can see, half of the ceiling is missing.
Do you ever have any trouble getting water?
Right, I have no cold water now, so the toilet doesn't flush.
And this is the bedroom.
Right. This is basically where we hang out at.
You really do live in a kind of battle zone.
Yeah.
Fire zone.
Mm-hmm. That's why I just be cool, don't deal with too many people. Just go on about my business and do what I gotta do. You know, because I'm not here to be socializing with too many people anyway. And then the type of people who live around here anyway. Like, they're part of the reason why it's like this. You know, like a lot of people always want to blame it on the landlord, this, that, and the other. Now, it's part of his fault, too. But then also, why do you have to throw garbage out the window? I can look out my window any day and see big bags going down the stairs, out the window. So it's the people, too. It's the people who basically make it like this. And then with the landlord not keeping it up, it just gets worse and worse. My sister was just talking about the garbage the other day.
Finding out who's responsible can be difficult. The last owner sold out when their efforts to renovate and maintain the building failed. It has changed hands 6 times in 9 years. No one is sure now who owns it. Landlords refused to provide services until tenants paid rent. Tenants refused to pay rent until owners provided services. People are moving out. The building is doomed. You are leaving today.
Today off, tomorrow when I get the movie man.
Why are you leaving?
Because I couldn't stay here. They beat me up, they threw me down the stairs, and they broken all my windows are broken.
Who did this?
You know who did it.
No. These kids?
Yeah.
These very ones?
Not them, I don't think. They were older.
Older kids?
Oh, I was cooking one night in the kitchen and the whole glass came down. It's not the first time. All my windows are broken.
While you were in the apartment?
Yeah. Every one of them.
How long have you lived here?
36 years, 37, 38.
38 years in this building?
Yeah. It was nice when I came here. Everybody was nice. Nobody was disagreeable. But I couldn't walk the stairs alone. I had to get someone to go up with me. Because one kid said he'd cut my throat if he had a knife.
Cut your throat?
Yeah, if he had a knife, yeah. That's right. He said she has money, we kill her someday. So no, I can't stay there. I never slept for a month.
Go to my house, Mike.
Because they watched me when I came in, they followed me up the stairs, and they pulled me down, they took everything I had. What can I do?
What did you say to them?
I couldn't say nothing.
But weren't you scared?
Of course I was scared. I went down to the top floor to save me from them killing me.
How old were the kids?
About, they're hanging around there listening. 15, 14, 15, no more.
You keep looking around. Are you nervous?
I can't even move. I'm so nervous.
You're afraid it could happen again?
Oh, yeah, they follow me up now, but then my girlfriend is here waiting for me. I worked at the Plaza Hotel for 46 years.
You worked at what hotel?
The Plaza Hotel.
What did you do?
I was a supervisor. They gave me a getaway watch.
A getaway watch? When did you retire?
72.
Don't take it out now. Somebody, don't show it now.
I got a beautiful gold watch and my name on it and everything at the back. And I got $100.
Is this the building here? Anybody in the alley?
The arrival of police interrupted our conversation with Mrs. Sullivan. We followed them into her building.
All right, 4 Millage Bank. They went down to the south fire escape.
So what happens to these kids now?
These kids will go to children's court. Have their mother come in. They'll probably be personally recalled. It's kind of early. Might get them over to court. If not, they give us a date. They bring them over with the officer who arrested them, the complainant. But they look young to me. I don't know. They look about 12, maybe. The officer will call you when you have to go to court. Okay? But you'll be moving out today then, right?
If I can, if the state movers come, I will. If not, then I'll be moving this week.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very good. Okay, thank you very much, all right?
You won't believe this, but while we were talking to her about her previous burglary, this was going on.
Yeah, what happened is they watched her go out, evidently, and then they went right in.
Let me tell you something. She's got about $100 in her pocket. She'd been down this morning to the bank to get it out.
To get a mover, I know.
That's right.
But she couldn't get one, though. I know.
Can we do anything about that? Maybe you can.
Mrs. Sullivan?
Look. Oh, God. I can't stay here tonight. Look.
Do you see your cat?
No, my cat is gone. No,
We'll find your cat.
Oh. Look what they did. They broke everything here. Oh, God.
Did you have any valuables in the house?
No, I had everything wrapped, but they took them. I had lots of things. They were in here all morning. And look what they did.
You seem to have everything all packed up, ready
I
to
had
go.
everything, look, I had everything nice. Everything was beautiful this morning. And I was waiting for the movie met.
What are you going to do now?
I can't stay here tonight. I have to go someplace.
Can we call your brother?
He's sick in hospital. He has arthritis.
What is that? Ireland.
Yeah. This was in here too. I'd find my cat, I'd be all right.
Okay, we got a deal.
Yeah?
All right.
How
They're
much?
gonna take your furniture, huh?
How much is that?
What did you say you had? 100 there?
Huh?
100, right? That's good. ¿Qué lo que va? ¿Qué lo que va?
She's gone back there. Oh, oh God, she's here.
Where you get it?
She won't come to me now. Nufty.
I got two of my own. Where's the door shut?
Come here, she's gone behind the car.
Okay, she was probably here all along. I tell you, they always come back. Come here, baby.
Do you want one of these nice pictures each? Oh, Nufty, no.
Stop spitting at me.
Hey, that's not nice.
No. Oh, no, stop it.
All right, she's scared.
No.
You all right?
Yeah.
She's scared. She'll come out,
leave
though.
it alone now.
Mrs. Sullivan is moving to a safer neighborhood. It, too, is in the path of the affliction that wasted Davidson Avenue. But for the moment, at least, it's a way out. The building is one step closer to death. Each vacant apartment invites more fire, more looting, and more danger for the handful of survivors.
The indomitable human struggle goes on here fiercely. No doubt of it, no question of it. I certainly would hate to think that anybody thought I said they were giving up hope. What I'm really saying is that society has failed the hope of the people who live here and struggle here. That's what I'm really saying. They're going to go on struggling anyway, whether we fail or succeed.
What did I tell you this morning? I told you to put a bin over here across this way. Holy. And to put the wall tie they got right into the bin. It's the same shit.
The only thing is he doesn't want a perpendicular wall tie.
For all the devastation and decay, there is plenty of life in the Bronx, and the worst crime of all would be to write it off.
1186, 2 years ago, was an abandoned, city-owned building. That's where we are right now. That's where we are right now. And it was 36 units. There were, at that time, in December of 1974, 3 squatter families. And when I came into this building, I asked them about their problems and what, they were lacking. And it turns out that they were living in this building prior for 2 years without no heat and no hot water. I made a commitment then, in December 1974, that I was going to put this building back together with the help of the people in the community and with the group of people that I was involved with.
Ramon Rueda is a Vietnam War resistor who came home to his South Bronx neighborhood to organize a grassroots attack on urban decay. To Ramon and his friends, unemployed people and abandoned buildings were resources to be nourished. They applied to the city for funds to redeem a blighted, gutted, and empty building, and to train local workers to do the job. The bureaucracy didn't respond, so without permission, they went to work on the building anyway. Their only assets were enthusiasm and energy.
A lot of these people here, as you can see by the sign outside, who are ex-drug offenders in trouble with the law. And so far, since we started this program, no one has gone back to his old ways.
You know, it's just one building in a large neighborhood.
Well, as what they call Cherry Mouse said, what's it, 10,000 miles? The journey of 10,000 miles starts with the first foot. You have to start somewhere.
They want to learn. They said it's a mess, but they want to learn. And nobody can easy. Everything comes the hard way. Yep. You see that one? You see that one? There's one with experience in there.
The Bronx might be the most rundown urban center, but it's not the only one. And I think we see the plight and the disregard towards the urban centers of this country as a national disgrace. The Bronx is number one. You know, we, more than anything else, I guess you can almost say that we're like urban pioneers. And here we are, you have this vast wilderness of decaying housing, neglect, everything else. And we've actually come in and we decided to reclaim the land, rebuild our homes. And it's very fitting that in this year of our nation's bicentennial, you know, maybe we can rekindle a small spark of some of the things that made this country great. People coming in and deciding this is where we're going to settle down and this is where we're going to make our home.
These urban pioneers have started to work on other buildings in the area. Their enthusiasm is contagious. They're beginning to turn the neighborhood around. There are other rehabilitation projects in the South Bronx. Some of the buildings are already occupied, but they are few in this vast sea of need, and the tide of devastation is rising. For every building reclaimed, hundreds are lost. The majority of people in the Bronx live in some of the best housing in America. For them, the urgent question, can the devastation be stopped? Last year, 3,500 buildings went under.
Hey, Jack, up here, get that saw up here. We're gonna have to cut the roof. Send it up with somebody right away. We gotta get the roof cut. All right, second line, I want him in a fire.
Keep burning the ceiling floor below.
Fire goes on. The Bronx burns. Like Bucharest after the earthquake, it is a disaster area. But there will be no international disaster relief. No army of volunteers will come here. Only firemen of the 19th Battalion.
These fellas didn't wait. They went right in. I was with them.
Well, we have to cut it off. We lose the whole roof.
Does it look as if it was started?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, it's a rubbish fire in a closet, in a vacant apartment. No way it could have started by itself.
You live here?
No, I'm the local parish priest.
I thought so.
Yeah, right. And I belong to the parish down here, and we belong to a community corporation and neighborhood improvement association. We're trying to do everything we can to organize tenants and to help in the...
Are you making any progress?
We are making progress, and this building was really getting someplace. There was a good tenants organization in here, and we had worked up some kind of a relationship with the landlord. And then, you know, it's seesaw, back and forth. And then you don't know if it's because of this relationship breaking down or if there's a problem with other tenants in the building. I have a Bible group here every Thursday night. I was downstairs in the Bible group. And they talk about life things and talk about, you know, taking care of their kids and taking care of other people's kids. I mean, they're really trying. But the forces of evil in the street and the forces of evil in people who are greedy and want money and want to burn buildings for greed, you know, or for whatever.
Evil is an unusual word to hear in a situation like this.
But it's in people, you know, and it's in not just one kind of people. You know, it's in people who own things. It's in people who want to make money because they want to move. It's in all kinds of things. Or it's in delinquents, or it's in people who want to strip. We don't know, you know, but it's just that it's that evil that seems to be like a big steamroller, and this neighborhood is getting crushed fast.
So I would say, I would like to rub America's nose in this and say, take a look at it. If you want to reject it, go ahead. I just don't happen to think that that's the kind of a society that we live in. I think our society responds to this kind of thing. I think what we need to do, our inescapable responsibility, is to bring society's attention to it. I think America is too decent a place to really let this thing go on for very long. I really do.
It's easier to report the destruction of the Bronx than to stop it. For every problem, there's a score of experts, each with a cure to contradict the others. I'm sure that's one reason we throw up our hands in despair and try to put places like this out of sight and out of mind. Past efforts to do something, including millions of dollars spent here in the 60s, haven't succeeded. Somehow our failures at home paralyze our will, and we don't approach a disaster like the death of the Bronx with the same urgency and commitment we carry to problems abroad. Americans don't accept unresolved conflicts with foreign powers as permanent and immutable. Past mistakes or failures don't keep us from trying again. So the Vice President travels to Europe and Japan, the Secretary of State to the Middle East and Russia, the UN Ambassador to Africa. No one of comparable stature comes here. We seem willing to accept this as the natural order of things. You can come here and be depressed by the slums, fires, drugs, crime, and poverty. Or you can be impressed with the discovery that even in awful conditions, some people cherish common human values and try to build a decent life among the debris. You realize that they're the best experts on the Bronx. If we're going to save our cities, we will start with them. The economy has failed them. There are too few jobs, too little capital, too much red tape, and too little effort to understand how best to help them. All that money we spread around in the 60s never got to the root need of human beings to make their own way.
Come on, Fernando, let's go home.
Let's go. They want order, safety, and some degree of autonomy just like everyone else. It's time to bet on them. With capital, jobs, and enough time, they might collectively create from these ruins good neighborhoods to live and grow in. After all, they have nowhere to go. Their lives are at stake. For the rest of us, it's a test of whether democratic capitalism will be made to work for the poorest among us. That, and the knowledge that unless we do act, the fires will no longer stop next door. For CBS Reports, I'm Bill Moyers.
This broadcast was
sponsored by Eaton Corporation, a family of technologically related businesses responding to growing needs, changing markets, and the competitive stimulus of American business.